Hi, and welcome to the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker. We are, about 31 hours away from the baseball trade deadline. Nothing this morning from anybody. Somebody's got to start making a move. Later in the show, we're going to talk to our buddy, the Cardinal broadcaster, Chip Caray. You'll see him tonight. Cards and Marlins wrapping up a 3-game series. We always invite your chats because you're the reason that we have the show. So we want to interact with you. Mr. Rocchio, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic today. Not great day necessarily after the Cardinals got blanked by the Marlins, but heck, we're 48 hours inside for the trade deadline. I'm waiting for some moves to happen.
It's going to be great. And by the way, with the trade deadline coming up tomorrow, STL Sports Central is going to do 2 special trade deadline shows, one in the morning at 8 a.m. And then Joe Roderick's finger will be hovering over the live button at around 3, waiting for things to happen. And as the Cardinals approach that final hour between 4 and 5 St. Louis time, you will be able to tune in. And if they make a deal, and it seems pretty likely that they will, then we'll have immediate reaction right here on STL Sports Central. Cardinals get blanked 5-0 by the Marlins last night. Sandy Alcantara was pretty good. The offense had only 4 hits, 4 different players with 1 hit each. They struck out 10, and there's a lot of stuff that happened in that game. But Matthew, you have been with me from the day that the Cardinals signed Sonny Gray. And I thought, as I was watching the postgame show last night on FanDuel, that Sonny Gray explained what I have always thought about him. Because when you get into this time of year, and let's take it for what it is, at this time of year, when you're a good team, these are the dog days, and these are the days that you have to battle through. And I'm going to, before we get to this little piece of video, do we have the piece of video?
Yes, we do.
I want you to remember something that Tony Dungy always told his teams. Tony Dungy always told his football teams, whether it be in Tampa or Indianapolis, he said, what we need to have here is no excuses, no explanations. That's what he said. No excuses, no explanations. This was Sonny Gray after last night's loss to the Marlins.
Okay.
I'm struggling in the heat to grip anything. So then I threw the changeup early and was like, well, this kind of slips out anyway. So maybe this is something that I can just use. It's tough. It's tough. You're just wet. Everything's just wet. It's tough. It's very tough. Everyone's dealing with it, obviously. So it's not. It's not just like everyone is dealing with it. But it's tough. It's tough to grip anything. Everything's wet. Everything's wet. It is a real challenge and something that I've tried to overcome in the past years prior, just throughout my career. It's tough.
Now, I feel bad for this guy. When you look at the look on his face as he spoke to the media, he was right distraught. And
that's not what we want to say.
He's remember how Dennis Reyes was the big sweat?
Yeah.
He's the little sweat. There's nothing he can do about it. But here he is talking about how hot it was and how he couldn't get a good grip on the ball. Well, Sandy Alcantara was pitching too, and he went 5 scoreless. And with all due respect to the Marlins lineup, I think it was probably pretty equal. I feel bad for Sonny Gray, but that's also who and what Sonny Gray is. That is your nominal number 1 starter for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Is that ideal?
No, it's not.
Is that a good? Is that a good way to spend money?
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, and totally unfair comp here, right? Totally unfair. But we were just listening to Chris Carpenter talk about pitching in the playoffs, and to me, that is a number 1. Now, there aren't nearly as many number 1s as there used to be in baseball, but I think you have to have a guy that is when you say, okay, the chips are down and we're starting a playoff series, you need to have a guy that you have complete unbridled confidence in. Maybe the Cardinals do. I do not. And I think that's one of the things the Cardinals really need to work on. And Matthew, I want you to weigh in here, and I want you to weigh in on the chat too. If there was one guy that I would trade one of the good young Cardinal position players for, and I'm talking about the guys that are 25 and under, I would probably have it be Sandy Alcantara. I don't think I would trade Wynn. Maybe I would. I don't know. But Sandy Alcantara has control. He's young. He's won a Cy Young, and he looks like he's back physically. That's the kind of guy that the Cardinals need at the front of the rotation. And he's back to 100 miles an hour too, which helps.
That would definitely be helpful. And Alcantara's a guy who, because of an injury, he had to come back, and he just didn't have his stuff just wasn't locating at all. And he's been spending the entire season just kind of trying to dial things back in. He hasn't really been worried about necessarily his production. He's just been trying to get back to the pitcher he knows he can be. And he certainly looked pretty solid last night. Just looking at Sonny Gray, it's actually kind of crazy. His numbers in August actually are pretty good. But his July and September numbers are, as we've talked about very often, very bad. And so him crumbling like this still in the month of July is historically what he's done. He somehow just gets it back in August
and then September,
and then right back down in September for the most part as well. Yeah. So maybe he'll help you get through August because you're not trading him. But right now it's looking rough for Sonny Gray, and that's one of the reasons why we've been so down. And some people might think of it as negative about, them having a chance to compete this year. It's hard to think they have a chance when this is the kind of pitching they get in the back half of the season from the ace.
All right, let's get to a couple of your chats. We do appreciate you being a part of the show. Bill Downton, we have so much offense. Oh, I forgot. We want glove first players. You want to have the key to winning is to play great defense up the middle. That's how you win. If you can find me that bad defensive team up the middle that won the World Series, I will change my thought process here.
Also, Bill's been complaining about this for a few days now, and I understand your issues here with the Bill, but I will just point out, if Ivan Herrera had a better glove, things would have been a lot simpler from the get-go. Just like I'm just going to throw out that guys having really solid defensive positions is actually a really useful thing that helps you build a lineup sometimes.
Yeah. Mason Windu, Gray starting to sound like Waino during his initial decline. Adjustments, working on things, etc. How about just I didn't pitch good and need to do better for the team and the fans? Yeah, I think that's accurate, and I think that is a solid statement. You mama, I feel great. I grew up here, and if I walk outside, I'm instantly dripping in sweat. You got a rosin bag right behind you, though.
Yeah, I was wondering about why is he not using the rosin bag maybe a little bit more? That seemed a little bit odd to me. I will say he is talking about something real. I know that Alcantara has to deal with the same heat, but people sweat at different levels. He was in this chair yesterday, and so I'll kind of I'll just throw out B-Shave's tweet from last night. Schaefer's a bowler, a very good bowler, and he was talking about how he has to use rosin constantly when he's a bowler because he has sweaty hands. So we know Gray sweats. So he didn't just make up an excuse, and he literally said, "I use my changeup more because that's a pitch that's naturally kind of slipping out of my hands. Damn it, that's naturally kind of slipping out of my hands anyway." And so there was a actual reason as to why he pitched that way. I don't know what you wanted the guy to say. I'm sorry, guys, I sweat a lot.
Yeah, that's what happened. Rob Branscombe, Randy, outside the probable trades from the bullpen and potentially Donnie, can we talk about the lack of depth defensively in the outfield? Yeah, when you got rid of Michael Ciani, your outfield depth took a dip. And next year, at the beginning of the year, if Herrera is in left defensively and Walker is in right, you'll probably be at best average. And what Victor Scott II needs to do is be superb. And he can. He's capable. He won a minor league gold glove. Of all the minor leaguers, he won a minor league gold glove in center field. I do think, Matthew, that the ability athletically of Ivan Herrera will allow him to be a good outfielder in time, but you need to get him reps. And I'm glad they got him reps the other night, and we'll get him a few during the rest of the season. My guess would be that he'll be down in Jupiter, and he'll be working with John Jay and Jose Oquendo. Herrera will almost right after the season is over. And if you can get him a couple of months of work and then get him all through spring training and have Walker keep ascending as a defensive outfielder, you can be average.
Jeremy Hodge checking in the chat. What happened to Steven Matz? He apparently was only set to go one inning, and that's the one inning he went. The switch did seem a little abrupt.
We thought it was going to be a trade, right?
Yeah.
Because you come out for the seventh inning and there's nobody on the mound. But Ollie said after the game it was just a miscommunication with the bullpen. The bullpen apparently didn't get word or didn't have the same feeling that the dugout had about bringing in number 49, and so you get him going. I feel like Mike Shannon here, forgetting all these guys.
Swanson.
Yeah, Matt Swanson. How can you forget that name?
He was fantastic last night.
He was really good.
I mean, this sinker he's got going multiple innings. I mean, Matt Swanson has really perked my ears up over the last 2 nights.
Swanson, Sundqvist, those guys. Yeah, no, he was pretty good for 2. And I think if you do make these trades over the course of the next 31 hours or so, if Helsley's gone, if Maton is gone, I think Swanson, Graceffo, maybe because he'll probably be back up here, Ryan Fernandez. You take a look at him, Leahy, although I think you'll probably have him as a starter next year. But I think that's one of the interesting things about the last 2 months of this season is if you get rid of your potential closers and you're going to give young closers an opportunity, Swanson, Graceffo, Leahy, O'Brien, and maybe Fernandez. You got 5 different people that you could try down there that have the stuff to do it. And you got to find the guy that's most comfortable with pitching the 9th and getting the 27th out. Not everybody is as good as everybody else at getting that. You have to have the right demeanor for it. And I think that's one of the things that the Cardinals need to find out here in the last 2 months. If Ryan Helsley's 90% sure he's not going to be here, I'll say I'm 99% sure that he's not going to be here. And I would kind of be more surprised if, and that would mean I'm 100% certain, I'll go 99.5. That Maton will be gone. Maton, you only have to give him, $400,000, $500,000 for the rest of the season. He's been on a World Series team, didn't pitch on a World Series team, but he's been on a World Series team. He can help out a young bullpen because he's more than willing to share his knowledge. He's got great stuff, and he's great stuff in terms of the way he utilizes one of the slowest fastballs in baseball. It's not classic Jordan Hicks, Ryan Helsley stuff, but he's got one of the best spin rates in all of baseball.
Yeah, and we got Jeremy Davis saying O'Reilly is the only closer we need. I know you're a big fan.
Riley O'Brien.
Thank you very much. That's what I wanted.
Yes. So yeah, I'm a fan. I get old Irish in there as our closer. I would love that.
You mentioned Ryan Helsley. Let's talk a little bit about his comments he made. The 2 things that jumped out to everybody else, or at least to me. One is that he'd be open to coming back after, even if he was traded away, and also his just subtle acknowledgement that the team really needs starting pitching.
Yeah,
that was hilarious. I love it. I love it when we see candor from teams like that. But the question I think we have to ask though is, he's open to it, but do you think, like, what world? Is there a realistic world where the Cardinals sign Ryan Helsley to a 3-year deal in the offseason?
I don't see it. In fact, I think if they were going to do it, they would have tried, right? And you could have offered, and I don't know if they did or not, but you could have offered. You've got Matts walking out the door, and I know he would want more than 44 over 4, but for me, if I were the Cardinals, I would have at least negotiated with him. To my knowledge, the Cardinals have not negotiated with him at all, and I would think if they had any interest in bringing him back, why have him out there on the free agent market when you can sign him when he's already yours?
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess, you think we can have a really, nice turn of business. Also, do you think about, if you're John Mozeliak, I guess it's like, I'm not going to sign a reliever to an extension when I'm turning things over to Chaim Bloom. I'm going to let that be Chaim's decision.
Yeah. When you look at the loss of TV money, when you look at the loss of ticket revenue, they might wind up with the same sort of situation next year that they had this year. If Wilson Contreras already invoked his no trade. If you didn't see that, John Denton and Derek Gould both had that. Wilson Contreras went to Mo and said, yeah, I want to be here. So he's going to be here for his $18 million. Gray is going to make $35 million next year. He started last year, I think, at 15, right? 25 this year, 35 next year. And Arenado, I would say it's 51-49 that he'll be here next year. So you're going to be spending all of that money with the lack of revenue, the drop in revenue that they've incurred over the last 3 years. I'd be really surprised if the Cardinals would wind up swimming in those expensive closer waters. I would think if they had money to spend during this offseason, this upcoming offseason, they should probably, and Brendan Schaefer said it yesterday, sign 2 or 3 $10 million starters. I think they got enough guys to roll through a bullpen. They're going to need starting pitching.
Yeah, that's they desperately need starting pitching. That was true for a body or two without the Dakota Roby injury, but now with the Roby injury, you're going to need at least 2 bodies, maybe 3, and maybe another one on the back end because there's no way you can bank on being this healthy all over again. Joe Cooper, if we lose Maton, should the Cardinals look to re-sign him to a 2-year deal next season? Absolutely. I think that's the move. And Katie Woo's reporting, not surprisingly, that Maton really loves it here. He's said that multiple times, but also the teammates and the coaching staff are huge fans of him as well. So, yeah, I think that might be the more likely one, just because, to Randy's point, the Cardinals overall, the idea of getting into anybody at a volatile position or a volatile asset 3 years for $15 million a year is going to be risky. But at the relief pitcher position, that also is like an added risk that I just don't see them taking. But Maton, 2-year deal, this makes more sense.
2 over 6, 3 over 9.
Yeah, that makes
something
more
like
sense.
that. And I do think because he wants to be here, you might have a chance to get him at a bargain rate because he didn't sign until March of this year. It was late in March when he signed with the Cardinals as a free agent. And I'm convinced that he has the ability, because he's not throwing a million miles an hour, to be good for a 3-year stretch. And the Cardinals absolutely could use him. But again, remember, was it 2 years ago or last year? Not this past season, but I think it was 2 seasons ago at the deadline. Doug Armstrong said to Oscar Sundquist, I think it was literally the day before the trade deadline, he said, hey, do you want to be here, or do you want me to trade you to a place where you have a chance to win another cup? And Oscar said, no, I love St. Louis. I want to be here. So
Yes,
that day, the Blues signed him to a 2-year extension. Maybe that's something that the Cardinals should do. Find out what Heimblum thinks first, and then go to Maton and say, hey, we can trade you to a contender, but if you want to be here, we can do a deal 3 over 9 or 2 over 6. If you want to be here, we can do that. I would do that if I were the Cardinals.
After trading him?
No, before. Just like the Blues did with Oscar.
Oh, see, I just think there's just so much more value in the Maton vacuum because of relief pitching at the deadline. I'd trade him and then tell him
Try to bring him back.
We'll talk to you in November. Go get you a ring. We'll talk to you in November.
Okay. Yeah, and don't punch a wall on the last day of the regular season. Which he did in 2022, which cost him from pitching for the Astros in that postseason where they won the World Series.
Sound of silence. Sonny needs to concentrate on fixing his issues instead of complaining about how wet it is. The guy gives up more home runs than most pitchers in baseball. Here's my we just don't like it when players are honest, which is weird. Like I appreciate that he's being honest and explaining what went wrong, why he went to his changeup more often than he usually does, why that got hit. You might see it as an excuse. I see a guy who knows what went wrong and is laying it down for us, and that's useful to me.
Yeah, we know why he was not very well, and he wasn't terrible. I mean, that's normally you take 3 runs in 5 innings. Normally,
it wasn't bad. But I feel like
it's just the matter of here we are. It's how many degrees was it last night? 412,
roughly.
And but he grew up in Nashville. It was hot there. He played in Cincinnati. It gets hot there, so we knew that it was going to be hot. And he said, I'm looking forward to getting out of the heat. Well, they're going to go to the West Coast, and he's going to pitch there. The way I look at it, though, is we do have hot days in September in St. Louis occasionally, and we used to have pennant races in September, too. I want him, rather than being able to say or having to say, I don't know what to do, I want to come up with a solution here. With Sonny Gray. This other comment, by the way, from Ryan Helsley, and when you were talking about the starting pitching, he said, quote, it's not a secret that we've got to get starting pitching. At some point, they're going to have to spend money if they're going to compete. Our minor league system has been crushed by injuries. Obviously, that makes even more sense to trade us now, Maton Matz, to get some prospects. But if he's saying that to Derek Gould at STLtoday.com, and it's a great piece by Derek Gould about Helsley, can you imagine what the conversations in the clubhouse are like? If he's saying at some point they're going to have to spend money if they're going to compete, what must the conversations in the clubhouse be like?
I imagine like that can only come from, in my opinion, like his agent telling him like, yeah, they don't want to give you a 3-year deal.
Yeah,
they don't want to spend that kind of money on you because you're a closer. Like I can't, like, that's all I can think about is him saying that is like, he's had conversations with his agent and he's like, these guys just don't want to spend the money.
No. Or they don't want to, or they can't. Wesley, Sonny wore long sleeves to try to reduce the dripping from his arms. He's working on it, just hasn't fixed it. Give him credit for effort. Didn't see a lot of long sleeves out there last night. I think one of the things that he has to do is the day before a start and then the day of a start, don't drink anything so that you don't sweat as much. I think that would be the way to go about it.
Mark Foster, do Wilson Contreras, Arenado, and Gray like the city of St. Louis with their families?
Yes.
And that is why they don't want to leave under their no trade clause? Yes.
Yes. And Contreras essentially said
that was wild.
That he said, I've already got my World Series ring. He said, I don't want to go anywhere. Basically, he said, I want to win one here. I don't want to go chase a ring somewhere else. Basically wants to chase a ring here.
Yeah, I think the phrase was, I haven't made my impact here.
Yeah.
Like that's, or I haven't done my job here yet. Mm-hmm. Like that, some people are going to hate that he doesn't have the mindset of, I want to go win as many championships as possible. But the idea of, I came here to win, we haven't won, and I'm staying here until we win or my contract's out. That is such a commendable mindset from a professional player in 2025. I love Wilson Contreras so much.
He's great to have him. And I'd said yesterday, hey, it wouldn't break my heart if he wanted the opportunity for them to move him. But if he wants to be here, then all the better, because he is a really good guy to have on a team. Sound of silence. Thank you very much for the response. Haha. Well, I don't know about that. I don't want the guy to have a heat stroke. I wonder if they could send him out on the mound with a Mr. Fan.
That'd be pretty good. I like that.
Go to Walgreens, get a Mr. Fan, and let him, spray his face.
Like your point, apparently he doesn't have time to hit the rosin bag, so I don't know if he has time to hit the Mr. Fan either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dr. Randy, dehydrate yourself a day before engaging in extreme physical activity in a high heat and humidity.
No.
I said it.
No.
Come on, he wouldn't sweat as much.
No. Yeah, because he's going to be dead by the third inning.
I'm just trying to be an answer guy. I'm an idea guy, Chuck. I'm trying to come up with something for you. I try to stop him.
Lex Luthor
can't stop him from coming in.
Lex Luthor's in the chat trying to trade the Blues for an NBA team. This is you. There is our former colleagues over at 101. They have a producer there by the good name of Jackson. Jump into their chat and let him know that he will throw you a little party. For that opinion, because he also would trade the Blues for an NBA
When's
team.
The last time you saw something like that happen, where one city traded one of their teams to another city to get another team back?
I don't think it's ever happened.
I don't think that's like.
I think it's more of like I'd make the trade off if somebody offered it to me.
St. Louis is not getting ever an NBA team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Never? What if they expanded like 40 teams?
Then Louisville will be ahead of St. Louis. Omaha will be ahead of St. Louis.
You get the whole list.
Yeah, right. You're gonna obviously Seattle, Kansas City, Vegas.
A lot of people who are ahead of St. Louis.
And then you've got the global market too.
Do you think
we are not a growing metropolis? If you haven't noticed, we are the only one, I think, of the top 50 markets where we have more people dying than are being born. Our population is decreasing. Clearly, our businesses are leaving. We can't support another team here. And it was different even a decade ago when the Rams were here.
Damn.
But now, when you look at the desolation of the city of downtown St. Louis, I mean, the last person there, turn out the lights. All you really got going for you is the Cardinals and the Blues and City. And then a little bit further to the west, you've got Chaffetz Arena. But why else are you going to downtown St. Louis? Right? And the question is, who's going? Who are the companies that are going to support an NBA team? Because you've got Enterprise basically owning City and the Blues, along with Worldwide.
We're trading the Blues, remember?
But that's not happening.
No. 90% economics. Do you think there's like a 10% factor of still kind of what happened when St. Louis last had the NBA? Do you think that's still a factor in anybody's minds?
No, I think it was just and it was absolutely a factor, because hockey was a white sport and basketball was a black sport, and there's not that we don't have racism in our town, we clearly do, But I do think that it was more pervasive then, and that's one of the reasons people quit going to Hawks games and they started going to Blues games.
And it's been so long, I just didn't know if you thought maybe that would still be something people would be.
I don't think there's enough people around. That was 1968.
Long time ago.
Yeah, so most of those people that were business people and were buying tickets at that point are dead. Most of them, not all of them.
And if the NBA, if St. Louis was a booming market like Nashville, the NBA wouldn't care about that.
There's another
anymore.
one that you just brought up that doesn't have an NBA team yet.
That's true. Apparently, people want them to steal. People just want them to steal the Grizzlies. Let's turn to.
The thing, but if you're the NBA, or if you're somebody with a lot of money, why not just stay in Tennessee? Why not go to Nashville? Right? I mean, you can do that, right?
Yeah.
Is Chip here?
Yes, Chip is on and ready to roll.
We love the great Chip Caray. He is the voice of the Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Midwest, and the Redbirds in action tonight against the Marlins. And there is the great Chip Caray. How are you, sir?
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning. So the other day, I do a little hit with on 5:50 a.m. and I was on with Steve Savard, fellow Parkway North grad, and we were talking about the prides of Parkway North. You're clearly the pride of Parkway West, are you not?
I don't know about that. Stone Phillips preceded me, and he had a pretty big network career. He's got a better voice and better hair, and I was a straight C student, so I don't think I'm even on the medal stand when it comes to Parkway West superstar grads.
You know what, Chip? If I would have gotten straight C's, they would have had a conga line at my house.
Living proof that grades aren't everything. I tried getting away with that with my kids, but my wife wasn't going to have it. So, somehow I made it through. I don't know how, but I did. I'm grateful that I did.
I'm shocked you had any issues. We have Stefan on here on STL Sports Central, and the kid's brightest bulb in the bunch on this whole thing we got going here. So I'm shocked there was ever any issues at home.
Well, genetics are important, and he got 90% of the smarts from mom. You guys hear me do the broadcast. We're talking about Neapolitan ice cream and wombats, for God's sake. So that's not surprising.
Explain. Was it cutting Neapolitan ice cream into a cube or something?
A square. You eat it in a square, don't you? Don't you cut it out of the carton, because it's got the 3 lines. You just cut it in a square. So you get all 3 flavors all lined up. If you scoop it, it makes a big mess, and you don't get equal portions. That's fine.
Okay. That makes complete sense. I got to tell you guys. Well, I do enjoy a good strawberry smoothie. I do not like strawberry ice cream. Never have.
Interesting. Yeah. It's an acquired taste. I'm not really a big ice cream guy anymore, although I love Ted Drew's, obviously. But yeah, Neapolitan's right up there because you get a little bit of everything. It's great.
Yeah. All right. You're around the clubhouse every single day, and you've been around clubhouses for a long time. And the vibe, I'm not around there clearly as much as I used to be, but the vibe at this time of year around a clubhouse, it's just different, isn't it, with the trade deadline on us?
Yeah, it's tense. Tense in the sense that there's the sense of unknown. It's not tense in preparation. It's not tense in interactions with the players. It's not tense from what I can tell amongst the players and coaching staff themselves. But look, let's face it, there's a great sense of unease because the next 48 hours, there's a very good possibility that this is going to be a dramatically looking team when we take on the San Diego Padres on August the 1st. And that's a product of what we've seen in the month of July. It was hoped that in July, and certainly coming out of the All-Star break, that the Cardinals were going to really make a push and really solidify their positioning as not just a wild card contender, but maybe a divisional contender. That hasn't happened. The ERA for the staff in the month of July is over 7. They haven't pitched well. I think they've gotten 2 quality starts this month. The offense has cratered in some ways. Offensively, it's a team that if they fall behind, they don't slug a lot, so it's difficult to come back. And that's why you've got a 8-16 record in the month of July, which pretty much seals the fate as to whether or not the Cardinals are going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline. So that's where we are. I think it's now a matter, guys, of preparing to face the Marlins, try to win a series, and then whatever dominoes fall, you deal with them and adjust and push forward and try to get this ship turned around sooner rather than later.
I know that starting pitching obviously has been struggling. We've been talking today a lot about Sonny Gray, but I do want to go back to, the game 1 against the Marlins, because Andre Palante, who had been struggling, had a fantastic start. And for a guy like him who's pushing already his career high in innings and things like that, what did you see from him in a late July start where the heat was also pretty bad on Monday night? What did you see from him kind of bouncing back?
Well, it's funny. We talked with Ollie about that after his start yesterday, and he said what's funny about baseball and why you either love it or hate it, depending on your perspective and maybe what your job is. If you look at the metrics at what Andre Pallante did against the Rockies, where he got bombarded, and what he did against the Marlins, where he pitched a near no-hitter over 7 innings, the results were almost exactly the same. He landed fewer breaking balls. He landed fewer sliders. The bottom line for Pallante and so many of the Cardinals starters is very simple. It's not so much the stuff. It's not so much the heat. It's whether or not the ball gets hit at people. And if it does, they have a chance to have a very good day. That was the difference for Pallante in Colorado. He couldn't throw his breaking stuff, which is expected. And the balls that were put in play hard and out of reach of our defenders. In his start against the Marlins, there were some hard hit balls. He was able to throw his slider. He was able to land his breaking ball a little bit better, but they were at him balls. And when they're at people, Pallante and Miles Mikolas are usually very successful. When they don't, because of the dearth of swing and miss stuff for this group collectively, that's where you run into problems. And I think that's why this team has sort of bounced from wall to wall, walking down the hallway as to what are they? What is this staff? What is this team? We don't know, because the randomness of baseball is what really happens more often than not with regards to what to expect with the Cardinals pitching staff.
Chip, I was playing golf with a buddy the other day who was telling me how bad Jordan Walker is in right field. And I said, I think there's probably a little bit of confirmation bias there. I think you're probably thinking of the 2023 Walker. And I'm not saying Jordan Walker is Roberto Clemente out there in right field. Mm-hmm. But last night there were, 3 balls in a row that came right to him and were not within his reach. I think that Jordan Walker is very capable of being an average or above average right fielder. What have you seen in terms of his defensive growth?
Yeah, I think his jumps are better. I think his confidence is better. I think his knowledge of the intricacies of playing the position are a lot better. There's a lot less, how do I say this the right way? There's a lot less thinking and more reacting and letting baseball skills take over. And you guys have been around the game a long time. If you're thinking, you're already a step behind. Look, the times we play at Busch Stadium, that's a tough field. The Sun Field's very, very difficult for Jordan Walker. Heck, it is in every major league park, and that's all part of the learning curve. But from a defensive standpoint, remember, there were times this year earlier when Jordan was brought in. Is he going to win a Gold Glove this year? Absolutely not. But is he a lot better than he was when he first started playing the outfield? There's no question. And I think that confidence translates to what he's doing at the plate and his overall body of work that we've seen since the All-Star break. It's trending in the right direction. The question is, can Jordan continue to do that over the final 2 months and give us a much better idea of where he's going, what he is, and quite frankly, what he's not?
And by the way, the bullpen has been great, but if I'm looking ahead with this organization right now, the one thing that I feel really good about is the defense up the middle with Pages, Wynn, Donovan, Scott. I think that's a group that defensively you can win at a high level with.
Yeah, they catch the ball. I mean, that's really been the story for the Cardinals. And with this pitching staff, again, pitched contact, it's simple. You got to catch the ball. And St. Louis has done that. I think Mason's made 2 errors. I think Donovan's made maybe 3, and we've got 50 some odd games left in the season. I mean, that's remarkable defensive production. Victor Scott, like Jordan Walker, his jumps, his knowledge of when to really turn on the afterburners. If he does get a late leap on a ball, he can track it down in the outfield. You're almost surprised, quite frankly, when the balls hit to center that Victor doesn't catch it, which I think is the greatest compliment of all. And that's why the Cardinals the other night with Pallante, he's a ground ball pitcher. That's why you can play Ivan Herrera in the outfield, because you're betting that there will be more balls on the infield than there will be hit to left against him. And Ollie was proven right, and Herrera handled his first chance. So you're right. For the Cardinals right now to maintain this pace and be around 500 and try to finish over 500, it's got to start defensively, number one. That's been a focus from spring training, and I think you're right. This is a really, really fun defensive team to watch. They can pick it with anybody, and if they keep doing that, they at least will give themselves a chance.
When you talk about a guy like Victor Scott II, have you seen an outfielder in all your stops that has that much of a margin for error to be able to take 1 or 2 steps the wrong way and still make almost every play, it seems?
Well, I mean, there were different players, but maybe Andrew Jones and Ken Griffey, but they were bigger guys. They weren't burners like Victor was. Andrew Jones played very, very shallowly in center and loved to go back on the ball. He knew how to come in on the ball and dive. He always seemed to be able to get to where he needed to go, even though as he got older and his body got bigger. Griffey was a little more lithe and taller than Victor Scott, certainly not as fast, but just as prone to the acrobatic plays. And of course, Junior was a 500, 600 home run capable hitter and a Hall of Famer. But for Victor, I think it's just understanding what his game is. He's going to be a defense first center fielder, and he should be. His game is get the ball on the ground, hit line drives when they pinch in at the corners, try to use those angles to line the ball the other way. And in recent days, he's done a much better job of being patient at the plate. Remember, he went through that awful stretch where anything with a curve in it, he was swinging and missing. He's starting to take those pitches now. He's starting to make the pitchers work, and he's daring them to throw 3 pitches for strikes. And more often than not in this era, they can't do it. And as Ollie has said, there's nothing more exciting than seeing Victor Scott on a base anywhere for the Cardinals. If he can do that, that's a wonderful, wonderful threat hitting ninth.
Hey, Chip, Ryan Helsley is on record as saying he thinks it's a 90% chance that he'll be traded. I think we can all agree that Maton probably will go too. And the Cardinals have some guys that they can try to get that 27th out. I'm intrigued by Granillo. I'm intrigued by Graceffo, Riley O'Brien. I think if they bring back Fernandez, is there anybody that's caught your eye in the 9th inning so far? Because Granillo has finished games. Obviously, Graceffo had his first major league save was cool. Is there anybody from a stuff standpoint that intrigues you as a potential closer?
Well, right now, assuming they don't trade him, and he probably has as much value as anybody, would be Jojo Romero.
Yeah.
I love left-handed closers. I always have. I think it is such a game changer late in the game, although in our sport with the DH now, you don't pinch hit as much. But if you get the right lane and you've got a lefty closer in, and you can go get Barry Bonds and you can make Chipper Jones hit right-handed, and you can you can take away guys like Larry Walker, that it really gives you a leg up in the 9th inning. But yeah, all of those guys have stuff. And I think that's going to sort of dovetail into what we've talked about pretty much all season long. The strength of the Cardinals team, besides their defense, has been their bullpen. They've been lights out. They've been really, really good. And if they trade all of those guys, and again, I would be surprised, quite frankly, if they don't, it's going to be an audition time for all of these guys to see what they can do. And I think we have to be encouraged by the fact that in many cases, with Riley O'Brien, with Matt Swanson, Fernandez at times, even Roycroft, who's got a great arm but is still learning how to pitch, that these guys really haven't stumbled and tripped over their own 2 feet making their way to the mound. So that's going to be the fun of what we see over the next couple of months. This is still a build year for the Cardinals as they try to revamp the farm system and get things straightened out up here at the major leagues. The only way to do that is to give guys a chance up here.
And they've given guys a lot of chances, the position players. Maybe Walker needs more time to convince them. I think we know that Victor Scott is on an upward trajectory. I think we know about the left fielders. We pretty much know at this stage of Newbar's career. We kind of have an idea about Burleson, Wynn, Donovan. Is there a position player that you think hasn't been provided the runway yet, that needs more time to show what they are?
I think you could flip a coin to Nolan Gorman, and that's somewhat not his own fault, right? He's been hurt, back problems for 25-year-olds. That's never a good thing, right? Mm-hmm. He's been blocked by Nolan Arenado, who exercised his no trade clause. And again, if he somehow is traded before 5 o'clock tomorrow, that would certainly change the calculus for the Cardinals. But I think Ollie and his staff have done a really, really good job of giving guys opportunities. And look, there's no roster that's perfect, but this is as imperfect a roster as we've seen in a while here with the Cardinals. We have multiple redundancies at multiple positions, and that really gives the manager and the front office, quite frankly, a lot of choices, but a lot of challenges in finding out what the best starting 9 is going to look like on a day-to-day basis. And that's why, again, with Herrera picking up a glove and playing left field, gets you another bat in the lineup, gets him in a position where he can't catch and doesn't catch because they don't want him to do that with the leg problems he's had. It just gives you a few more options, which at times it seems like the Cardinals' hands have been tied. And so I don't know what they're going to do position player-wise at the deadline. And I've always said I have a rule with every general manager I've worked. I don't tell him how to make the trades, and he doesn't tell me what to say on the air. But I think that if there's the right offer, I think anybody on this team would be someone the Cardinals would and probably should look at if it makes the team better and increases the depth, not just the rest of this year, but for the next couple of years, because that's really got to change. That's really got to be improved because 3 years into this retool, reset, whatever you want to call it, there isn't a lot of depth in position players because most of them are here. And certainly on the pitching side, and some of that's bad luck with injuries. So that's got to change. And the only way to do that may be maybe making a deal you don't really want to make, but you may have to. We'll see.
Well, we talk about all these different left fielders and second basemen in the logjam and something like this. One of the big discussions is always about players' versatility. And I know at times this year the Cardinals have wanted to keep Brendan Donovan at second base instead of moving into left field and things like that. Now we have Ivan Herrera trying to play left field, and they put him back at DH. Do you think it makes sense? Do you think there's an argument to be made of keeping guys like Herrera and Donnie in one spot to make sure their bat's just solidified?
I mean, you can make that case, but again, the problem is, what do you do when J.J. Weatherholt gets here? Where does he play? Right? You've got Dorman, you've got Brendan Donovan, you've got Mason Wynn, you've got Thomas J. Where do these guys play? You have too many players with similar skill sets, and by similar, I use that term broadly, who play the same spot. At some point, you've got to clear the logjam, and you've got to pick who's the wheat, who's the chaff, and use the guys that you have to go get things that you don't have. We all know the Cardinals are going to have a real starting pitching issue going into next season. You're not going to have Michaelis. You don't have Fetty. You assume that McGreevy, Liberatore, and Sonny Gray are your top three guys. Palante, will he stay in the rotation? Don't know. Kyle Leahy has the stuff in the repertoire to maybe become a starter, but that's something that has to be worked on or talked about in the offseason. But they don't have much depth behind those five guys because of the injuries I talked about. And the way that you can go get those guys is trade your most valuable assets to get from teams trying to win a World Series to fill the needs that you have, not just now, but for the next couple of years.
Are you a seafood guy when you go to San Diego?
Sometimes, yeah, it depends. As you know, we're stuck because we go to the ballpark and it's 4 o'clock. You get to eat delicious ballpark food every single day for 162 games. It's not the best thing for the waistline, but yeah, the fish tacos at San Diego at Petco Park are awesome. I'll probably have a couple of rounds of those.
There is a great place. The best shrimp salad I've ever had is at Point Loma Seafood. Great place for lunch, outdoor patio. You know the weather's going to be sensational.
Yep.
So remember the Point Loma Seafood Cafe.
I will do it. My daughter went to the University of San Diego. She's a Torero graduate. She knows all about those places. So my credit card is screaming already, knowing about the big lunches I'm going to have to pay when I.
While we're talking about food, one other thing hit from the broadcast where apparently you don't like the buffalo wings. You like a dry wing. I gotta get the rationale and the explanation on that one, Chip.
They're just messy, and I'm a messy eater. I don't need any help splattering stuff all over my shirt. I like the dry wings, and I like to control my own amount of sauce on the wing. I like to taste the chicken. I don't like to taste just the sauce. And sometimes when you get those things, you end up looking like a finger painter when you're done. And that's just kind of gross. That's just my own personal thing. But I like all the sauces. I'll eat them, but I don't like them coated with it. Just you pick them up and it's like melted ice cream. That's a bridge too far for me.
All right.
Fenton Bar and Grill in Fenton. Someday off. One of your days off, we're going to the Fenton Bar and Grill, and you're going to have the best trash wings in St. Louis.
I love it. That would be a treat. I love them. Trash wings are awesome.
All right, my man. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Have fun tonight. And you get kind of most of a day home tomorrow? What time do you guys fly tomorrow? About 2 or so?
We're flying tonight, actually. We're leaving tonight.
Okay.
We're leaving after the game, so it'll be a late night, but that gets everybody into San Diego. I'm assuming around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock local time. And then we get to enjoy the off day out west, which it comes at a perfect time. The weather, as you know, has been brutal here. And from what I'm seeing out west, temperatures should be in the mid to high 70s, which I hope will refresh everybody after this amazing run of hot weather. And again, thanks to the fans who are showing up. It is not easy for them sitting down there at Busch Stadium with heat indexes in the 110s, but they're there. We love it. We appreciate it. And we really appreciate the support.
All right. And we appreciate you, Chip. Thanks so much for the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great, guys. Have a great week.
All right, brother. You too. Take care.
Thank you.
That is the voice of the Cardinals on FanDuel. He is Chip Caray. What a superb broadcaster, great guy, and we love having him on the show on a regular basis. And I do, and I think part of it when we talk about defense up the middle, if you didn't grow up with Whitey ball, no, because that's not fair to say, because I've talked before. We talked about Walt Jocketty a couple of weeks ago, rebuilding up the middle in 2000. He got Matheny, he got Vina, he got Renteria, he got Edmonds, he got 3 new pitchers. I think the players the Cardinals have up the middle are fine to win with. I think, like I said, I think you can win with Pages, Wynn, Donovan, Scott. Now, do you need to improve the pitching? Yes. And you'd like to get more production from third base. You're getting nothing from third base right now. You'd like to have more consistent outfield production without question. but I think they've got a good start with what they have up the middle.
Yeah, I'd say so. And you need to keep that, solid defense up the middle. Again, bringing JJ Weatherhold in isn't going to change it. He can be a very solid second baseman as a guy who's been playing shortstop his entire career. You can make that change, and I would accept him to be a plus second baseman from that spot. So even if you do end up moving Donnie out to third base, or maybe Weatherhold's the one you moved out to third, I don't know. It's a solid overall build going forward. And I understand the logjam is problematic. The Arenado stuff has been bad this year, but eventually that spot will open up, and will probably open up right around 2027, 2028 when you really need it to.
Yep. I like Devin Milner's chat here. Hear me out. You keep Donovan and extend his contract, and he stays at second base. Bring up Weatherholt and put him at third. Wilson is at first. Wynn is at shortstop. Victor is in center field. Burley in left, and then go get a strong right-handed bat for right field. I think the one thing that you can do, though, is you could put Burleson in right, and then Herrera can be your left fielder.
Y'all are trading Jordan Walker, apparently.
No, you can.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, and I think Walker does still have a chance. I think that he still needs to. Hopefully, these last 2 months will give him an opportunity to show what he is. He's not probably going to be a 35 home run guy, but he can still be, I believe, a good major league hitter. And he's a guy that you could DH. He's a guy that you can rotate in right field or left field. But I think just in terms of the big right-handed bat, I think you've got Herrera here. And again, Matthew, let's go back to what we said at the beginning. Cardinals are going to have like 1.1 million fewer fans this year than they had 3 years ago in 2022. And they had the $40 million a year loss in TV revenue. So $50 a person that walk through the gates at the ballpark, and you lose 1.1 million of those. That's a lot of money. That's like more than $50 million. And then the 40 million and 50 million from 2022 to 2025, but it's money that you don't have. And then the money that you had from TV that you don't have. So I don't think the Cardinals are going to be swimming in deep free agent waters. That would really surprise me.
It would. Bill Downton says Weatherholt's never played third. I know, but he's played shortstop his entire life. And now that they're moving up to AAA, the plan is to play him at second base and at third base. So
yeah, and
he's got an arm. That's not an issue with him. He's got the range for shortstop. He's got a powerful arm. He can play third base.
Yeah. So that's what they're talking about. They're going to give him the opportunities to play third. He's got all of that ability with the arm, with the range, with the glove. He'll be a guy that can do it. But they say still primarily a shortstop, but they want to get a meaningful second base and third base exposure.
Yeah. Your mama, I wasn't for trading Donovan, but if you can get an ace for him, you could field a good team even without Donovan. Herrera, Scott Walker, Gorman, Wynn, JJ Contreras, Burley, DH. And listen, I think that's why we saw the quotes from John Mozeliak about if he got an offer that blew him out of the water, he'd trade Brendan Donovan. And yeah, if they could get an ace for him, yeah, that'd be blowing him out of the water, because as Brendan Schaefer and Randy Karraker said yesterday, as Mike Claiborne said on this show on Monday, Brendan Donovan right now is more valuable to this roster than he is on the trade market. Now, but if you can get an outsized bit of value for him on the market, that changes the equation a little bit. I just doubt that's going to happen.
I'm in agreement there. A couple of other ones. Eric Letford, who will the closer be when Helsley is gone? I think that's going to be one of the intriguing questions for the last 2 months of the season, because you do have, would you say 5 legitimate candidates? If you say Graceffo, Granillo, O'Brien, maybe Fernandez, and Romero. Did I miss one?
Graceffo, Granillo, Romero, Riley O'Brien. I'm keeping it at 4. I don't need Ryan Hernandez. I'm a fine. I know he's had a great year in the minors. Ryan Fernandez is just one of my relievers. I don't need to give him the closer run. I got 4 players, including a minor league player that I didn't expect to be this good, Nander Granillo, a prospect who I've made a shift who I expect to be very good in Gordon Graceffo, a reliever who's been good for me all year in Riley O'Brien, and then a setup man who naturally slides into the closer spot in Jojo Romero. Those 4 guys all have a lot of reasons for you to give them the runway. I don't see it with Ryan Fernandez.
And I'm just assuming, by the way, that Gordon that Leahy is going to start. That's why I didn't mention Leahy, because I look at him as the fifth starter.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people's minds have shifted.
Didn't mention Swanson is throwing 100 miles an hour.
Killing it. I love Swanson.
So there's going to be options.
But I like the fact that he can go 2 innings right now. I don't want to screw with that. I want Matt Swanson to continue to be the guy who can go 2 innings. I don't want them to limit him to just the 9th inning.
Right. I think that's fair. That's reasonable. Yeah, I have one of those guys.
I need to have guys who can give me 2 inning runs.
Yeah. Yesterday was National Wing Day, and I had the greatest trashed wings I've ever had. And they're so consistent at the Fenton Bar and Grill. They're absolutely mouthwatering. When you go to the Fenton Bar and Grill and you're walking across their parking lot, you can hear them frying up the trashed wings that are absolutely delicious. And if you get the trashed wings, try their signature golden sauce. It's award-winning and it's fantastic. But I have mine with ranch. I like the golden sauce. I love their trashed wings with ranch, and they are absolutely fantastic. And let me tell you something else about Fenton Bar and Grill right now is they have this trashed chicken sandwich that is absolutely fabulous. Tender and juicy chicken, and it's all trashed up for you, and it is made with just the brioche bun, the homemade bun is absolutely fantastic. But the things that they have on it, you've got lettuce, tomato, you've got red onion, and you've got pepper jack cheese. It is the perfect combination of flavor. The trash chicken sandwich at Fenton Bar and Grill. It's hot now. They're getting rid of it. They're right and left. They don't want to get rid of them because they love them too, but people are buying them right and left. Oh, and by the way, today is Gumbo Day at the Fenton Bar and Grill. No, tomorrow is. I'm sorry. Today is Hump Day. Tomorrow, stop by the Fenton Bar and Grill for Gumbo Day. Every Thursday is, and it's going to be the most delicious gumbo you've ever had as well. There's so many things that you will enjoy, whether it's in this hot weather, the Caesar chicken wrap. And yesterday, the other thing I had was the small Caesar chicken salad. And Megan was my server, by the way, and she's fantastic. And you'll say hi to Jamie and Candy while you're there. They just have a fantastic menu. They have fantastic service. Great people are going to serve you. And it's a fun group of people just to hang out with. It's the Dive with a vibe. It's really a fun place to be. A lot of sports. You love sports. You're tuned into this program, and you'll be talking a lot of sports at the Fenton Bar and Grill as well. It's only 2 minutes away from the soccer park in Fenton. So if you're looking for a great meal, great happy hour, great dinner, or lunch today or tomorrow or Friday, it's the Fenton Bar and Grill. And when you go, tell them Randy sent you.
Randy, one of the conversations we're getting a lot in the chat right now, and have been over the last few days, is about the catcher spot in Pedro Paez, because the bat's obviously not there. That's not what he's there for. And the defense, which is why he's in the lineup, has been struggling. There's been a little bit more holes, some pass balls and things like that. And so we got a question here, and I've lost it now, but they were basically asking, what is an acceptable line as a hitter for Pedro Paez going forward? And if you look maybe into him keeping as your defensive stalwart catcher in 2026, what kind of hitter does he need to be for them to be winning and everything going into next year?
I don't think it's overly dramatic. Now, this is one of the things that you're missing this year is any production from third base. You need to get better production from your corners. And recently you've gotten decent production out of Walker and right. Burleson seems to give you good production. Contreras does, but you're not getting anything out of third. So if you aren't getting anything out of third, you need to get it from somewhere else. And it's not coming from the catcher position. Right now, his OPS is at 555. I think I would prefer to get a little bit more pop, a little higher slug there, and get that up to 610, 620 from Paez. I don't think he's that far off, but one of the things that the manager and the coaches talk about over there is how much better he is with the pitchers. And granted, the pitchers have not performed well, but in terms of game planning and having the meeting and being in charge of the pitchers and then managing the staff during the game, he is in a different world than the other catchers they've had. Obviously, Herrera isn't even catching anymore, but he and Pozo. Now, I don't know what they're going to have in Jimmy Crooks when he comes up. Maybe he'll be better defensively and better offensively, and they'll give him the opportunity. But for the guys they have on the roster now, and essentially that's Paez and Pozo, they really like Pedro Paez' defense, his ability to throw out base runners, his ability to block the plate. There have been a few more missteps defensively, but the body of work is such that they believe that he is a solid enough defensive catcher that they don't need to get superb offense out of him. And he's never going to provide superb offense. What's his career OPS is?
Oh, I mean, this is last year's it's exactly 600, right on the nose actually. Because last year his OPS was 657. This year it's 555. Yeah. His OPS plus last year was 18% below average. This year it's 45% below average.
Yeah, and so he's got to improve in that realm, and he can. And if he doesn't, one of the great things the Cardinals have going for them is that they have 3 catchers that they think are legitimate big league prospects. So if he winds up not being the answer for them, then he will be replaced by somebody else. He's another guy, by the way, the catcher, in the weather in St. Louis, the way it has been at home, it really takes a toll. And they've had him out there every single day. And I wonder if after you play in the temperatures that you played in the last 2 nights, you get to a third night like tonight, I wonder how much of a toll that takes on a player that's putting on the tools of ignorance every day.
That's absolutely hellacious. I mean, that's going to wear on you. And it wouldn't surprise me if we maybe saw Pozo a little bit. Space. This is a good point. If Baez were the only negative offensive part of the lineup, it would be okay. But it's tough because there are so many games with Nato, Scott, Baez make it 1 to 2 hits in the game between the 3 of them. So not only, and I like the point because he brought in the Victor Scott thing, because if we are projecting towards next year. We just had a conversation with Chip Caray. Victor Scott II, we expect to be a catcher or at center fielder. Mm-hmm. We expect Baez to be a catcher. And then maybe you get Nato out of the third base spot. But there is still 2 then spots in your lineup that are potentially hitting below the Mendoza line.
And I would hope that they would at some point give Scott the opportunity to lead off, because players do take a different mentality to the plate when they hit in different spots in the order. And Victor Scott throughout his life has been a leadoff hitter. Now you bring him up and you're hitting him 8th and 9th, and you expect him to perform the same way. And I wonder if he would take the approach at the top of the order, just the natural mental approach that a leadoff hitter takes, if he might be better offensively.
That's Clay's big thing, is that he's Willie Mays Hayes. Every time he hits a home run, he's like, "Oh, I got to elevate the ball.
Yeah,
this is what I have. This is my game." No. When I look at Victor Scott II's last 12 games and I see a 185 batting average, it's bad. But when I see that he was on base 12 times and he stole 5 bases, that makes me go, okay. See, that's all I need from you. That's all I need from you. Just get on base, steal second. That's what I want from you. Jeff Wells. There's 0 reason to play Baez. Anything under 650 is insane, especially with how bad his defense has been lately.
Well, I think the Cardinals would disagree with you there. And I think what they have a tendency to look at is their defense catching wise and taking nothing away from Pozo, but he's just not as good as Baez is. And the Cardinals, I know, think that it's really important to prevent runs.
Fair enough. Nick Jensen, I saw an article that the Blue Jays are highly involved with trying to get Helsley. Here's the issue with that. And this is not my opinion. This is from people who know more about this. Blue Jays prospect system was ranked 24th in baseball this year. Doesn't seem like the group I want to be picking, 2 or 3 prospects from for the biggest haul for this team, but they will be involved. But I'm just not the best prospect haul potentially, unless you're talking about just getting the absolute top of their farm system.
And you've got for a guy like Helsley, you're going to have 6 teams that are interested or more. By the way, catcher's ERA, Baez is up to 4.09, Herrera at 5.35, and then Pozo actually better than Baez now at 4.06. But the Cardinals have really liked what he has delivered in terms of what Baez has delivered in terms of being able to suppress the opposition runs. And in terms of throwing out base stealers, Pozo at 14%, Baez at 27%, and obviously Herrera at 0%.
Reinier comes in and says, I'm not that impressed with Pedro Baez. Catcher is supposed to be our deepest position. Time to bring up Crooks or Bernal and trade the other catcher for pitching. I think you'll see Jimmy Crooks get a pretty good shot in spring.
Yeah, but he's
But he's-
from,
I mean,
from
but he's
what
gonna
I
have to play.
understand in talking to people there, the Cardinals with their revamped minor league system, they don't think that he's really ready to be an everyday major league catcher yet.
I'm guessing, and obviously with the longer Rodriguez is, like 2029 ETA. So I wonder if why am I blanking on the other catcher?
Bernal?
Yeah, I wonder do you think Bernal has a chance to impress them this spring and maybe be on the roster? Or is he still also just
I think they want to
long
get
of a
him
arc?
seasoning at AAA.
Okay.
Kind of like what Crooks is going with this year. And maybe if Crooks does get a couple of more months, because he's had to go through a lot of pitchers in Memphis this year. He dealt with a couple of injuries, but I think maybe if they get a look at him in spring training next year, they might want to give him, they might see him as a guy that would be a fit here next year. Crooks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the catcher defensive side has gone the way it has with, Ivan Herrera not able to play it, switching Wilson Contreras, but I'm not worrying just yet. If they can move Nolan Arenado, they can get away with having defense first players at catcher and center field.
Yeah.
I get it's going to be annoying. I get that it's going to pinch the offense at certain points, but when you look at a pitching staff that's going to need elite defense behind them, you still gotta maybe bite the bullet there.
Yeah. And by the way, I as much as the Cardinals like a guy like Pages, when you talk about trading him, I don't think that he holds a ton of value for other teams. Those unfortunately, when you have a hitter a catcher with a 555 OPS, you can win with them. How many World Series have we seen Martin Maldonado win with Houston? We saw him win a couple and be part of really good teams, and there's no offensive ability there whatsoever. But teams don't give up a premium for a defense first catcher.
Yeah, unofficial, official. All the catchers in minor league baseball can hit. That doesn't mean they're ready to be major league players, though, and that's the issue. I think we all agree that the catcher spot is pretty well tended to for the next decade if one or two of these guys can hit out of the four or three guys. But the issue is they got to grow. They got to develop into major league players before you can take that leap.
And think about this too. Until this year, when Ethan Goforth got into the organization, none of these guys had been taught how to be catchers. You had people that were, I know a couple of guys, Mike Matheny being one of them, that were willing to be a part of the Cardinal organization and teach young catchers how to actually catch. They didn't have a minor league catching instructor from the time Dave Ricketts died, I believe, and Yachty wasn't really helping guys until. Yeah,
Yachty wasn't taking one on their wing.
Not exactly, no.
But when he had a chance to become a coach, he flew right up here.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, I missed that though. I must have been out of town that day.
Yeah, it was underreported.
Yeah, it really was. So these guys might not be as polished as a catcher, for example, in the Dodgers system or in the Yankees system, because the Cardinals were negligent with their minor leaguers in terms of properly training them. And it's been well documented. They didn't spend enough on coaches. Now they are, but some of these guys are set back, not just catchers, but some of these players are set back because of the lack of instruction when they came into the organization.
And that's a huge problem. And Samuel, how amazing how that can happen. We got some new chatters in here, so I want to give them some due here as they're sending in chats. And if make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel right here on STL Sports Central. Jeffrey Manistar, why can't they tell Arenado if he doesn't give up his no trade, Gorman's going to get the majority of reps? Barring injury, you ain't going to play a lot.
They can do that.
They can do that. I think you just have the question. You just have to ask the question of why won't they do that? And I think I've talked to Randy about that a lot this year about, I refer to it as the political side of the decision-making process with Nolan Arenado. And yeah, it's on the surface, it makes a lot of sense to do that, Jeffrey, but the idea of telling that to a Hall of Famer in a mid-market when you don't get a lot of Hall of Famers through your doors apparently seems to be a little bit worrisome.
Arenado, by the way, since the All-Star break, hitting 150, 209 on base, 200 slug, 409 OPS. So things not going great for him. And in terms of all of July. And oh, by the way, can you believe it's almost August?
Oh,
Tomorrow is the last day of July. But in July, holy smokes, 170, 228 on base, 208 slug, 436 OPS. That's in 57 plate appearances for Nolan Arenado. And he does not have a home run since the 22nd of June. So things are not going well for him. And I wonder, I know he still wants to win a World Series, and I know there's a lot of money on the line, but I wonder if a couple of these months, he had a 617 OPS in May, bounced back to a 730 in June, but a 436 OPS, and it's hot out, and he's on a team that's not going to win. I wonder at what point he goes to them and says, you know what, I do just want to go someplace where I have an opportunity to win. You make a deal, and there's a really good chance that I'll accept it. I wonder if he would ever do that.
You'd think he would, because again, that, like you said, that was his rationale for rejecting the Astros, was they weren't winning. And I'm not sure what's stopping him from being, if people are calling about Arenado, I'm confused about what's stopping the deal. I'm not confused about what's stopping the deal. They want Arenado without having to pay him, and the Cardinals are saying that's not how we do this. Is what I'm guessing. Janelle Dunn, also one of the new chatters, says Yadier Molina slander will not be tolerated. Slander by definition has to not be true. And I made a joke about Yadier Molina accepting a job here and then never showing up, which is a fact that actually happened. Yeah. So while you might not tolerate Yadier Molina jokes, that was not slander.
And hey, let's lay it out the way it is. When Yadier Molina was a player for the Cardinals, being paid by the Cardinals, he determined that it would be better for him to be with his basketball team in Puerto Rico than catching for the Cardinals. And if you go back and listen to and find out about what Andrew Kisner and Carson Kelly but what their experience was, they didn't get a ton of help. And they weren't taught at a really high level. There was not much mentorship, like there was, by the way, when Yadier Molina came up in 2004 and Mike Matheny was the Cardinal catcher, did everything he could to help Yadi along. There just wasn't. And that's the fact of the matter. So we really don't know if you are one of the people that says Yadi's got to be the next manager. We don't know how good of a teacher he is.
We really don't. But hey, these people don't want teachers, Randy. They want leaders as their manager. They want leaders as their manager.
I would rather have, if I was going to get somebody with no managerial experience, which I don't want again, and this is obviously Ollie's team right now. Ollie is still the manager. But if I were looking for a manager for this team, I would take Albert over Yadi, but I'd take Skip over Albert.
Let's do a little movie thing. One of the greatest leaders in movie history, Captain Miller, Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
What did he do back in America? He was a teacher.
There you go. Yep. There you go.
Just saying.
Yep.
Bill Doughton, the old school, kind of chiming in again on the Arenado thing. You won't do that. You will never get another free agent. I don't see it that way. But when chatters like Bill, who I know have been watching Cardinals baseball for a long time, when Randy takes this opinion, I might not agree with it, but that's one of those things where I'm going to step aside and say, I see where you're coming from. And that's one thing where it would blow my mind if that's actually how another baseball player would think, but the fraternity protects their own. And so I can see the rationale from that perspective. It might shock you, but sometimes those things do come. Oh man, sorry. Well, I got really thrown off because Lex Luthor said Saving Private Ryan is overrated, and I'm trying not to get mad at people who have opinions, Randy, that I don't agree with. It's a good test.
There you go.
Very good test. That is quite the opinion, is all I'll say. How'd I do?
Good. Very
okay.
Very
thank
well.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very well.
Good Lord. Got to
So
breathe through that one.
Anyway, in terms of the way this organization is going to approach the offseason and build their team for 2026, there's a lot that goes into it. Let's start with the fact that as we mentioned, they're going to lose 1 million people in attendance over the course of 3 years. They lost the TV money. They're headed towards a probable, not a possible, but a probable lockout. And things could change after a lockout. And not that the Cardinals would approach a luxury tax or a salary cap, but my guess is that the Cardinals and most teams are going to want to have as little expense as possible heading into the 26 offseason, headed towards 27. So my guess would be that this offseason will be very similar to last offseason in terms of player procurement. Now, they'll have to go out and they'll have to acquire some young pitchers, but it might be not young, but starting pitchers. Might be 6-year minor league free agents, but I would be very surprised. We talked earlier about a right-handed bat. We've talked about a number one starting pitcher. I think what I suggested about Alcantara earlier is what I would do, but it's a pipe dream. I don't think the Cardinals are going to go for it this offseason. I really don't. I think that we're going to have a lot of similarity in 26 to what we saw in 25.
Eric the Red. Love when they clown on Yachty, a future Hall of Famer, but glaze all these mediocre players on the roster. That's one way to look at what we were doing there. Infringement, St. Louis cover band. Cardinals had Goldschmidt and Arenado in their prime and did not push their chips in all the way to win a World Series. I will never understand why they wasted that opportunity to do so. They did. I mean, I'm getting Arenado and Goldschmidt was part of pushing their chips into the middle. They did sign a guy who had finished pretty high in the Cy Young rankings when they both had both those guys.
With Waino? Who?
I guess was last year Sonny's first year? No, 2 years ago was Sonny's first year, right?
Sonny
was last year Sonny's first year?
Yeah.
Man, my time's off. So Goldschmidt wasn't here anymore than mine.
No, well,
Goldschmidt was here last year. So you had you went and got a pitcher, but it was after he had won the MVP. Like I get why people are mad that they didn't win with Goldschmidt and Arenado, but I'm always bothered by the take that they didn't push to try to win with those guys, because getting those guys was a very large part of the push. You went out and got an MVP quality guy who literally won an MVP and another Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, Platinum Glove, future Hall of Famer in Arenado. Like that is pushing a lot of chips into the middle.
Well, and they just it goes back to poor expenditure of money and misevaluation of your guys, right? Giving Michaelis the money that they didn't work out for them. And let's say the best year, the best chance the Cardinals had to win was probably going to be after those two had finished first and third in the MVP. So you go into the 23 season and it's Michaelis and Montgomery and Flaherty and Matz, Waino and Hudson. And you really, at that point, you didn't have, again, a clear number one guy. And that hurt him. I want to go back to the Molina comment because I don't think anybody here was critical of Yadier Molina, the player, Hall of Fame player, without question. But the fact, I mean, it's a fact that he did go to Puerto Rico to be with the basketball team that he owned, and he left the Cardinals for a week. It is a fact that he didn't work with the young catchers in trying to, at least if you listen to them, at least in terms of trying to enhance their skill sets to become better major leaguers, it wasn't happening. Was he a great player, best defensive catcher of all time? Yes. Did he have some really good offensive years and a really good offensive career? Yeah, he had 2,000 hits. But that doesn't mean that he was the perfect teammate, because I would argue that if you leave your team in the middle of a season to go watch your basketball team play, I would say that's a bad teammate. And, oh, by the way, it wasn't just that, but remember, he almost didn't show up for spring training. They had to have a couple of players, Wainwright and Pujols, talk him in to coming back.
Yeah.
He wasn't even sure he was going to come back. So I wasn't clowning on Yadier Molina's ability. I was just pointing out a couple of facts that he was not the best teammate and might not be, maybe a great manager, but might not wind up being a great manager either. Because really, when do you know, if he's your manager, when he's going to go and watch his basketball team again?
Yeah, that's the trickiest part, and it's hard to lean on that. You need a lot of commitment, and maybe I'm sure maybe last year was supposed to be part of the first step of that commitment, and it didn't materialize at all, and that's a little problematic. Anastasia and Adam on the chat. JJ's on the way. Do we believe at this point a bona fide ace is the number one need? Because it seems like the runway for the young guys is hopefully going to pay off. e.g. what we're seeing from Walker. Yeah, I think the entire conversation is about pitching, because do you have the bona fide ace? And now everyone's timeline in the minors has been pushed back by a year because of injury.
Right. And then it might be pushed back again because of a lockout.
Yep.
And I really believe, first of all, I think Quinn Matthews has a chance to be great, but he's not great this year. He was great last year, but he's not showing evidence of greatness this year. I don't think McGreevy is number one. Hence has been hurt too much. Roby is hurt now. Zerpe, Zach Thompson. I mean, you've got a million guys, but they're all hurt. I don't know that you have a number one type guy in your organization where you say, okay, that's going to be our number one eventually. Maybe
he got a hit on Liam Doyle.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe it'll be Doyle, but right now I just don't see that guy. And I think the Cardinals do need to find that guy, but I don't know where you find him.
Devin Milner, I hope they don't do anything big this offseason unless a big one just kind of falls into their lap. You salary dump this year and apply it to the 2026 offseason, and then you buy what's needed.
Well, it's going to be hard to dump salary because the only real salaries you have are Contreras, who's already said he's going to be here, Arenado, who's already turned out a trade, Gray, who also wants to be here. And oh, by the way, his contract goes up next year from 25 to 35 million. And, Maton's not making it. Well, Michaelis comes off the books and his 16 million or so. But really, that's Michaelis and Matz. That's 27 million. They come off the books and maybe you replace them with kids. But I don't think the Cardinals will replace those two players and their $27 million with an equal amount of money on the books.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Nick Jensen talking about that payroll going down. Who can you see the Cardinals go after that's in a high-profile free agent towards 27 or 28, since they have room to spend it a bit?
Yeah, so much will happen between now and then. I don't know. And by the way, you might not like hearing this, but if the Cardinals are going to have money to spend, where's it going to come from? It's going to come from people attending the games.
Oh.
Right? It's going to come from ticket sales.
What about a new TV deal?
The new TV deal you won't get that until 28. That's when Rob Manfred wants to consolidate all of baseball. And I don't even know then if there will be more TV money. So how are the Cardinals going to generate more revenue? They're only going to be able to do it through people buying tickets.
That's pretty much the only, yeah. You're right, because all these discussions going back over the last 5 years, you have to talk about money evaporating and not returning. And that's still the conversation being made right now, is when is this money going to return again? And is it going to be the same, $50, $60 million you were getting guaranteed every year prior to this? Or is it going to be completely different? Is it going to be lower? Heck, is it going to be bigger in the long run? We don't know. But that's kind of the limbo that baseball is currently sitting in.
It's pretty amazing how quickly it has turned for the Cardinals, because this was a model franchise.
Oh my God.
And this is all pretty much brought on by them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not winning doesn't help. And then, as John Mozeliak mentioned last year, there is John Mozeliak fatigue. And I think that fans, that's a real thing. And that's one of the reasons they aren't buying tickets. But then when you don't draw to the ballpark, there's a million excuses too. Oh, it's too dangerous. Oh, concession prices are too high. It's too expensive for a beer. Oh, ticket prices are too high. Oh, parking is too high. There's always an excuse that wasn't there, by the way, when the Savannah Bananas came to town. It's not there for the Blues. It's not there for City SC. So for me, you can talk all you want about the ancillary stuff, but the main thing is the main thing. And the fact of the matter is the Cardinals aren't playing baseball that is competitive for a World Series berth or championship. And that's the main reason they aren't drawing as well.
Yeah, I'm with you wholeheartedly.
Hey, I want you to know about DraftKings Pick 6, where the crown is yours. And here's why I want you to know about it, because when you use DraftKings Pick 6, it's going to change the way you watch sports. It's so much fun to play DraftKings Pick 6. I've been playing it for a while now here at STL Sports Central, and I'll tell you what, I have a good time. And there is really no better way to relax on a summer day than watching baseball. And there's some day games today. Simplest way to get in on the action is to download the Pick 6 app from DraftKings and then just pick more or less of the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Pick Six available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun, and don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick Six, and right now you can get $25 in bonus picks with your first deposit of just $5. And there's so much going on today. I'm going to take a look at some of the day games, and I think that I'm going to have some fun with those. I know that the Phillies are in action against the White Sox, and I think the Phillies are a pretty good play, simply because last I heard the White Sox aren't very good.
No.
So I am going to go with who should I go with for the Phillies? Should I go with Kyle Schwarber? Or do you go with
go with the man who speaks up to the man?
I think that's the guy to go to. So plus 1.5 hits and runs and RBIs.
Yeah, I like that one
for Bryce Harper.
That's my favorite play.
I think that is a good play. So I think we'll go with that as Philadelphia plays this afternoon. And then I am going to go with a Diamondback. Chris Paddock making his first start for the Tigers. And Perdomo is also at 1.5 for hits plus runs plus RBIs. He's been hot for Arizona. So I'm going to go with Perdomo against Detroit, and I'm going to go with Harper against the White Sox.
No Carson Kelly in there?
No, I like Carson Kelly too, but not today.
Fair enough. I like that play.
So you got a play for me? How about Andrew Vaughn with the grand slam? How about the Brewers trading Aaron Savali to the White Sox for Andrew Vaughn?
I'm just gonna go.
He's been great for them.
I'm just gonna go build an entire thing off Brewers who have recently been acquired by the Milwaukee franchise.
They're amazing.
And that's just gonna be my entire build in the pick six today. That's what I'm going with. I'll throw in one Cardinal and make myself feel better and also complete the play. Just if the Brewers acquire somebody today, just add them to your pick six as well.
Hey, download the DraftKings Pick Six app. It is so much fun to play. And when you use that code on your screen, STL Sports, that's the code STL Sports for new customers, you'll get $25 in bonus picks with your first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins only with Pick Six from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
All right. Ryan Helsley is still a Cardinal. 29.5 hours approximately until the trade deadline. And here at STL Sports Central, we will be with you to cover everything and allow you to react when it happens. Tomorrow, STL Sports Central is going to do 2 special trade deadline shows, one in the morning at 8 o'clock, and then Joe Roderick's finger will be hovering over the live button around 3 o'clock, waiting for things to happen. Eugenio Suarez is on the market, the Arizona third baseman who was on pace for 50 homers until he got hit by a pitch last week. And teams still interested in him, and a lot of competition for the services of Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah, Mark Feinstein on Twitter is reporting that sources are telling the Mariners, Cubs, Tigers, and Phillies are considered the primary teams for the All-Star third baseman.
Okay. So Mariners, who he played for previously, Cubs, Tigers, and Phillies, that would make a lot of sense. I could absolutely see any of those teams with him. So that'll be one to watch. And I think that might be, well, there's 2 that I think will set the market. And maybe Helsley will be one of them. The Cardinals aren't really market setters, but I think for hitters, Eugenio Suarez will be where the dominoes start to fall.
I mean, that's got to be, yeah, I think it might be the final start to everything. You finally get one big move. Obviously, it'll move the batters market, but I think this entire trade deadline is just waiting for somebody to finally crack it open, and then it's just gonna be a flood.
Yeah,
and you'll just see people it'll be a flurry starting tonight and tomorrow morning.
Okay, we've got a fun story about your guy, your favorite athlete, Nikola Jokic.
This was absolutely incredible because Nikola Jokic is back in Serbia where he always is in the offseason. And he loves his horses. If you guys don't know this, Nikola Jokic loves his horses. Mm-hmm. When they won the NBA Finals, they said, "Are you ready for the parade?" He goes, "When's the parade?" They said, "Parade's gonna be Thursday." He goes, "No, I gotta go home. I gotta get back to my horses." He did go to the parade, had a blast of time, and said, "I was really wrong. This is one of the best days of my life." But his horse wins the race, and he jumps over the fence, and he runs towards the horse with his arms completely wide open, as if the horse is going to hug him back. And he tears are already coming down his face. And he's literally lumbering towards the horse like a dad about to hug his kid who just scored the game-winning goal in a soccer tournament at 7 years old. Arms completely out wide. He hugs the back end of the horse. Then he hugs the jockey. And he's pouring champagne over himself. He's pouring champagne on the jockey. He's popping off champagne bottles. He was in the locker room for the Nuggets at one point. People saw him. He was just kind of walking around with a champagne bottle. Okay, nice. The guy wins. His horses wins races. And then in the offseason, he goes and wins MVPs. That's how his schedule is built. Is that he goes and wins MVPs in the offseason, because that's not what he's actually doing. Nikola Jokic is an absolute wild man. He's fun to watch. He's an insane person. He was cruelly treated by his two older brothers. He would say they loved him. I would argue if you're getting tied to a tree and having knives thrown at you, you're being treated in a cruel way. But it doesn't matter. Nikola Jokic is a ridiculous human being, and I firmly believe he thought that horse was going to hug him back. I firmly believe that, because fully 2 arms outstretched towards the back of the horse, expecting some kind of reciprocal relationship. But he loves those damn horses. And my question to you is there anything? Because the horse crossed the finish line in immediate tears, like a guy who's seen his girl walk down the aisle for the first time. Horse crosses the finish line, immediate tears from Nikola Jokic. Is there anything in your life that can get you to Jokic cry?
I don't think so.
You don't think when you're handed a grandchild?
Yeah, no.
That's not going to make you Jokic cry?
Maybe it will.
Okay.
You, Mama, do a job that makes you as happy as owning a horse makes Jokic.
And find you a hobby as successful as basketball makes Jokic, I guess is the way to look at it.
Yeah. And Pudge Richardson, Mo is patient. He will wait until Bednar is dealt before he trades Helsley. Well, hopefully it's not too late, because we don't know if Bednar is going to move. And I think I would try to work ahead of the curve here. Anyone in need of a feel-good moment, watch the footage of Secretariat versus Sham in the Belmont. That's from Mason Windu.
It makes me, it's an incredible moment of absolute just domination. But no, if you want a feel-good moment, you watch Nikola Jokic. I'm trying to think, if there's anything in my life that would make me Jokic cry like that. City SC, no, that would just be... No, I'd just be like, this is good content. This is gonna make my job easier to do a post-game show.
Right.
That would be my thought. I don't have a team anymore that could make me as emotional as Nikola Jokic was. Because when the Blues won, I got emotional, but it wasn't to that level of when as it's happening, I was like, I'm gonna remember this the rest of my life. Yeah. But I didn't immediate drenched in tears of pure happiness because I love my horses so much. You know what it would be? I'll admit this right now. If I opened my phone and it was an ESPN update and it says NFL expansion finalized, St. Louis will receive a team.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you.
Jokic cry?
I would Jokic cry. That's the one thing in my life outside of having kids. I will Jokic cry when I have kids because I'm a crier obviously right now. But sports wise, that's the one thing that would still get me.
Cool.
Mizzou winning a national championship in football.
Oh, that'd be fun too.
That would probably still get me, because I still have a little bit of a fandom with those teams because I haven't covered them journalistically ever since I was at school. But yeah, those are the 3 things I think. Having a kid, the St. Louis getting an NFL team, and Mizzou winning a national title in one of the 2 major sports. I think that might get me.
All right. We've got 2 more chats I want to get to here. Kyle Taylor. Randy, is St. Louis still a destination that big name free agents would want to come to anymore? I don't think so, unfortunately. I think there was a lot that went into people wanting to come here. Obviously, McGuire signing here for way under market value. People noticed that because he was the biggest star in the game, and he signs for $28 million over 4 years, $7 million a year. And that prompted other people to want to come here. Daryl Kyle, Jim Edmonds, Renteria, Roland, all of those guys we mentioned. Roland was offered $140 million by the Phillies, signed here for $90 million. So I think the perception was great, and part of that was because they wanted to come and play for La Russa because they knew that he was such a demanding winner, and wherever Tony went, he won. Now the other part of that, was the crowds. And one of the things Goldschmidt and Arenado said when they came here was, yeah, I want to play before 40,000 fans every night. And that has changed too. So players have played here. They know, they see that there's nobody coming to the games. They know that this team has not won consistently lately. So no, to answer your question, St. Louis is not a free agent destination. And I think that horse is out of the barn, that toothpaste is out of the tube. It's not coming back. Once Albert said during the 2011 season that he wasn't going to give the Cardinals a hometown discount, then I think all hometown discounts were gone. So no, I don't see St. Louis as a destination for the premier free agents. And then one other one, infringement St. Louis cover band. How much influence will Bloom have on this trade deadline? I don't know, but I would be surprised if he were going to make any final decisions. I would think that this will be John Mozeliak's last hurrah. He's in charge. That's the way the rules are set up. Everybody understands it that way. And so I Matthew, would be really surprised if the Cardinals, and I think if I were them, I would ask Chaim Bloom. Goes back to the old Bill Parcells, if you're going to make me make the dinner, at least let me buy some of the groceries. I think I would tell him about the groceries I was going to buy, but I don't know if they're going to do that even.
Yeah, I'd hope there'd be some coordination and an agreement of like, listen, I'm not trading anybody below the age of 27 who's under control. I'm not, but I'll try to move anybody who's older than that, who's okay with who's got a big contract, and I'll try to move any expiring deals. But I'm not touching your team build for 2026, 2027. I think that would be the reasonable and rational way to have this conversation, and that's what I honestly think is probably happening inside of the organization.
Yeah, I would think so. By the way, Jacob Murphin, Money Talks. Harper went on MLB Network asking for the Cardinals to come talk to him, and we couldn't make that happen. Here's the thing. I knew this, so the Cardinals knew this, and pretty much everybody knew this. Scott Boras was looking for stalking horses, and the Cardinals were never going to give anybody a 13-year, $330 million contract. The Cardinals were never going to give anybody a 10-year contract. They were not going to engage. So Scott Boras, I'm sure, said to Bryce Harper, look, the Cardinals will never say anything about a transaction, so just ask them to sign you. But that was never going to happen. He was never going to get signed by the St. Louis Cardinals. And so anything that happens in a Scott Boras negotiation, I have a tendency to throw out with the bathwater.
Yeah, that's smart by him to say, hey, come get me, to build, like you said, the stalking horses there. But yeah, that's not the context on that was an extremely important piece of information. Thank you.
Yeah. We have Card Central 365 today, before and after the game. And of course, if the Cardinals do make a deal, we will have immediate reaction right here on the channel. So keep us tuned to get all taken care of in terms of notifications. Go to stlsportscentral.com, subscribe to the newsletter, subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can get notifications. Like this video, follow us on social media at STL Sports Central. This is where you want to be for Cardinal reaction. Yes, sir. And
this is where you got to hit the bell button, because if you hit the bell button, you're going to get notifications whenever we go live. So if there is a trade, even if your Sports Center app or whatever doesn't hit the ding, or your Fox Sport app, if it doesn't hit the ding, you get a ding from us on YouTube. Then you know a deal's been made for with the Cardinals. So that's another great way to utilize STL Sports Central and how we do all these things in the moment. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, a little bit of a change of schedule. 8 a.m. we'll have a trade deadline preview show with Brendan Schaefer and another one of our hosts, I believe Joe Roderick, at 8 a.m. live here on STL Sports Central. Me and Randy will then be live at 10 a.m. in case any trades happen between 10 a.m. and 11:30. We will then go off a little bit until we have our trade deadline show right around 3 p.m. Roderick is going to be here right at 3 o'clock, waiting to go live as soon as things start happening. And they'll be live right around 3:30, 4 o'clock. Whenever things start happening as the deadline ends, they'll go live. They'll be on for an hour or so to talk about all the deals happening around Major League Baseball. So make sure you, again, hit that like, that share, that subscribe, and that bell button so you know when we're going live.
The rest of the week, I want you to get on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill for a lunch or a happy hour or a dinner. Tell them Randy sent you, just 2 minutes away from the soccer park. Learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com. And, of course, thanks to our friends at DraftKings Pick 6. They present STL Sports Central, and DraftKings Pick 6 is where the crown is yours. Have a happy hump day, and we will see you tomorrow at 10:04.